In his 1660 book, A Battledore for Teachers and Professors to Learn the Singular and Plural, the Quaker George Fox complained of two things. Firstly, that only Quakers like him knew how to speak English properly. Two, they kept getting beaten up for it. Why was this? Quakers, when they met individuals in the 17th century, would use the word thou. Because in the 17th century, English, like almost every other language in the world, had a different word for the singular second person. So they would approach a man and say, "Art thou John the Baker?" And then John the Baker would punch them in the mouth. Why? English, again, like most languages, uses its singular second person for informal communication. You would use thou to speak to people you thought were inferior to you, people you loved, and God. So when John the Baker saw this Quaker approaching, heard him say, "Art thou John the Baker?" Well, John the Baker knew very well that he wasn't God, and he'd never seen the Quaker before in his life. So he firmly assumed that he was being insulted. And that is when John the Baker brought the pan. That's my favourite joke. It's a thinker. You're going to enjoy it later, I promise. Now, there are two lessons to this. The first is, everybody hates a grammar nerd. This is a thing I should have learned at the age of 7, and I still haven't. But the second thing, well, a lot of my friends from other countries, and yes, I have friends, tell me that this is actually better. They like being able to go into a restaurant and say, "Do you have a table for 3?" without having to worry about whether they should use the formal, because they don't know the restaurant employee and it's not their friend, or the informal, because the restaurant employee is about the same age as them and seems kind of cool and maybe they'd like to hang out and have a beer later? No, okay, fair enough. I don't know though. I feel like we've lost something. I feel like having specific words that help you delineate your relationship to other people is a valuable thing, because it lets you demonstrate when that is changing. The Russian poet Alexander Pushkin wrote a poem when a woman he was flirting with went from the formal to the informal. He wrote about how his heart leapt in his chest when she went from vui to tui. The poem is literally called Te Vui. And at some point in English's history, we could have actually translated that. We could have translated that as thou and ye. And today, the best we can do is you and you. Garbage. Sucks. My hatred for the English language is well established in this part. So, okay, how does English do this? Well, I found 3 rules that work for me. I'm going to share them with you. In my experience, English uses 3 things to try to set formality informally: tone, name, and word choice. Let's start with tone. Now, Mandarin Chinese has 4 tones. It's thought about it. It's well structured. English has half-assed it again. It's not really got tones, at least none that you can describe. But what I have learned is that long vowels are friendly and short abbreviated vowels are unfriendly. Which is why a Welshman will always seem cuddly, even if he's 7 foot tall and built like a brick outhouse. While a Scotsman, like our own Colin, only has to walk into Starbucks and say, "Here I go." And he's given the entire contents of the cash register while the staff hide under the bar. And this is a terrible thing, because every Scotsman I know is just dying for a double pump skinny caramel macchiato with extra foam. It's all they want. The second thing, name. For people like Gregory at the back and me, as we came up through school, we were only addressed by our last names. it created distance between us and our teachers. And I really appreciated that. I tried to keep as much distance from my teachers as possible. But it means as a consequence that our names, our real names, our first names, they cut through. You can hear your name in a crowded room. Isn't that right, Zara? Isn't that right, Tom? It cuts through. And we can use that when we speak. The third thing, choice of words. His Majesty the King does not invite you round for a Mackey's. He says, I would request the august company of your good self. And then you go to the secret Mackey's in the basement of Buckingham Palace. I'm kidding, it's on the 3rd floor. The view is so much better under the 3rd floor. Equally for us as Toastmasters, when we come up here, our first words. Honoured Toastmasters. Dear friends. Guys. All of these choices create distance or intimacy with our audience. So why have I told you about these rules? For most people who learn English, it's a thing that happens in the background. They don't really care. But for us, I think rules are important, and I think rules are important for one reason and one reason only. So that we can break them. Every time we transgress a rule, every time we forcibly create intimacy or distance, we create a palpable effect in our audience. And we can harness that. We can go from enemies to intimates, from competitors to collaborators. So with these rules in mind, I have to ask, what will you do? And you, and you, and thou. Thank you very much.